Alrighty, hello and good evening. Welcome to the No Exit Experience, where everyone gets a chance to talk and no one is excluded, with the exception of those who trample on the speech of others. It's a show where all topics are welcome and no one is censored from giving their honest views on these topics. If you can handle that, then hop on the bus. You're in for a wild ride. My name is Jason, and I'm the bus driver. My passengers today are Richard in the distaff seat. We got Robbie on camera. We got Sally anonymously, voice only, and we got Tom in the tiller seat. All righty. So we're going to hit it like a truck. What do we got to get started here? Stand by while I open my phone.
Rob's got an announcement.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, Robbie, talk.
After 15 long years and needing Detroit to lose, Detroit lost 4-0, and the Sabres are back in the playoffs.
Right on. Woo! Talking proud, man.
Oh, yeah.
Wrong one.
What is your prediction? Will they clinch the division?
I could see it happening if they beat Tampa Bay on Monday. But, I mean, it's going to be tough, though. You know, it's because, obviously, Tampa Bay is they're very, you know, experienced in that. So it's going to be tough.
Well,
remember that last game, how Tampa Bay tried winning the game by fighting?
Yeah. And, I mean, you know, that's what I say, that if you hear a mechanical siren, you know, the woo, that's a fire truck. That's not an ambulance. That's not a police car. And the only thing that can beat a fire truck is a cement truck or a garbage truck. Otherwise, that vehicle is so heavy, you will lose if it hits you.
And what does that have to do?
That's because that's what the wanting to fight it out. Well, guess what? If you fight with guys bigger than you, guess what happens? You get your ass kicked. So that's why you pick your battles carefully.
Vanessa is joining us via comments, trying to provoke.
Oh, I could give a shit because I'm the center of the universe. So I don't.
And Vanessa, your friend who is going by the name of Sally is on the show with us tonight.
So our first topic is Robbie with band farewell tours. And after you do your piece, Robbie, I got something to say.
Yeah, you know, when we were talking about bands about a few weeks ago, it's like, how many bands say that they're going, like they're doing a farewell tour, but then they end up coming back and going on another tour again. It reminds me like of the Goo Goo Dolls saying that they were doing a farewell tour in 2022, and now they're going back on tour and doing their thing. Or then you got like Kiss, who had I don't know how many opportunities of farewell tours, and they went on tour.
Well, it's what it is. Follow the money. You know, every final tour is another money grab because people want to get the last T-shirt or the last knickknack. And it was like in 2015 when Motley Crue they made a contract that in 2012 they were done. Well, they said, you know what? We blew it up, and they had a graphic of blowing up the contract. But in reality, I think it's the same in all states. But in California law, if you have two sides, they both want to abrogate the contract, it's done. It wasn't a big deal, you know?
I had a job in 1970, and across the street from us was Bond's Clothing for Men.
Uh-huh.
And then they had one day they had these big signs in the window, going out of business sale. And I looked at my fellow employee and I said, oh, you know, everything must go, prices slashed. And I looked at my fellow employee and I said, that would be a good time to buy a suit. And he said, probably would. So we're watching over the course of the next days when the sale is going, they're trucking in new stuff. And I said, wait a minute, if they're going out of business, why are they bringing in new stuff? And he said, it's a scam. He said, they're probably going to sell 10 times as much stuff as they've ever sold in the next few days. So they're bringing, yeah. And that's the same thing with the Kiss tour and the...
Well, 30 years ago, it wasn't AM&A's because they got bought out by Sibley's, wasn't it? But one of the big name stores, it was upper shelf guys were fighting over these things. And I got a great suit. It was a $600 suit, and I got it for $200. I mean, I wore that for the next 20 years. And so it was. You expected the the bottom of the barrel. No way. But yeah, that the farewell tours. But the thing is, if you're a rock musician, you want to rock till the day you die. So you're not
I think the
gonna,
Rolling,
that you're not going, because by the time you're really ready to die, you can't sing anymore.
Yeah.
You're like, or you're deaf like Pete Townshend, or you're an alcoholic like Eddie Vedder, or you're dead like Scott Weiland, and and so these guys like Eric Clapton and Paul Simon, they're still playing music into their mid 80s and 90s. That's the thing. If you got music in your heart.
Barry Manilow, he's
Yeah.
got cancer, and he keeps saying, "I'm going to come back, fans. Don't worry, I'm going to come back."
Right. Hey, Sally,
Yeah.
you got anything to add?
Yeah, playing live music is a very energetic, addictive experience, and I get why people do it like beyond their own humiliation and even like beyond the money. I think it's just if you got all those eyes on you, feed you energy, and I don't think there's a drug like it, and I can see why people like degrade their own careers just to stay out there sometimes. And then plus, I think it's a thing of like regular life is kind of too mundane for some people, and they need that dopamine.
Well, like Dee Snider, Twisted Sister. I wanna rock. It's there.
Even if you're living clean, Ted Nugent
I think
still
the
like,
Rolling, I think the Rolling Stones have a record of farewell tours, and they keep coming back.
Right,
Well,
right.
if you would have put money on Keith Richards being alive in 2026, 30 years ago, you would be incredibly rich now. That if because who thought he'd be the first one to die, not the last one?
Well, whatever his medical care is, they're doing a good job.
He's a robot.
Yeah, he's pickled. He's preserved. All the formaldehyde in his cigarettes. Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. So, anything else to say about farewell tours besides it's a money grab?
No.
Alrighty. So, I've been apping it, just looking around, like Tinder and Bumble, but muscle memory. To look at, I'm left-handed, and to look at pictures on Tinder, you hit an arrow, but that same place on Bumble super swipes. So I've super swiped on a bunch of women that I wasn't really into because it was just accidental. Because their features on their app are like that they're very close. But also, I found out that they're totally corrupted. I mean, they're totally hacked. They're totally hacked.
Who are?
The apps like Tinder is totally hacked. It's totally hacked.
So did those women who you mistakenly swiped contact you?
One did, and she said, "Well, I don't fit any of your criteria because I have young children at home and I'm covered in tattoos."
Oh.
I mean, you got to be obvious for what you want, because if you're vague, if you say, "I'm out to catch fish," well, be happy if you get some little runt. But if you say, "I'm out to catch swordfish or perch," now you're being more specific. When you're vague, it's like, "I want somebody." Well, you know what? Most people can't tolerate most other people. See, that's why. Yeah. So I'm happy that the garbage is silent. But that's just my joke. And also, I can't do Hinge because I don't have 6 pictures of myself. But at the same time, their app function, the way it looks in the collections, it doesn't look at the ones on my phone. It only looks in the Google Cloud.
Oh.
So I'm like, what the hell, dude? So, anyways, that's all I got. I just wanted to bitch. And also, we do not gay bash here, and that's what Vanessa is doing. She's gay bashing. We do not tolerate that. We do not tolerate that. That's hate speech. That is horrible.
So you don't have any dates lined up?
No, I get scared when it gets closer. There's a whole bunch of apparently 25 and 30-year-old black women in Toronto really like me. and fit ones, I mean, before they let it go. Okay, so let's move on. Richard Wicca, 2 Easter jokes.
Does everybody know the story of the Last Supper?
Basically,
Yes.
And do you know the painting of the Last Supper?
yeah.
It's almost like a photograph in time after Jesus said something. And what was that? Do you know? Rob?
I'm trying to think.
So Da Vinci.
Oh, the bread and the wine or something.
No. Da Vinci's mind was like, what was the second like after Jesus announced, "One of you will betray me"? And that's what he painted the painting as. Like everybody's looking at each other, So that you got to know that to get this joke.
Okay.
All right. So here's the joke. Judas says, "Hey Jesus, when are we getting together for the Last Supper?" Jesus replies, "What do you mean by Last Supper?" Judas, "Did I say last? I meant regular. What time is the regular supper?" Any humor in that?
Yeah.
That's the kind of joke we would tell in the seminary.
Yeah. And, well, I saw something yesterday said it might have been a setter that actually, it could have been a setter was the Last Supper. Is that with the bitter herbs, or is that just for Yom Kippur?
I don't know.
Because, I mean, when they say bitter herbs, they mean like, or like hops.
I don't know.
I don't know either. But
So here's the second joke.
Second joke.
Jesus walks into a restaurant and says, "Table for 26, please." And the maitre d' says, "But you only have 13 people." And Jesus says, "Yeah, I know. But if you don't mind, we're all going to sit on the same side of the table." Oh, you like that one better. Vanessa didn't like the joke.
That Vanessa doesn't know what the hell she's talking about, and she is so bitter. If you can't join them, trash them, and that's why she gay bashes, and that's just an insult to everybody that's looking. So this was a joke in a movie that was that took place at Lourdes. I don't know. Did I tell you the one about Saint Peter, Saint Michael, and Mary? We're talking about where to go on vacation.
I can't remember.
Well, they were saying, let's go to Knock in Ireland. No, we've been there. What about Mexico? Oh, we've been there many times. Oh, I got a place. One says, St. Peter says, let's go to Lourdes. And Mary says, oh, we've never been there. My roommate's mother would be aghast. I couldn't tell her that joke. Just like Jesus' brother Bob, the nobody son of the Son of God. That one.
Yeah, some religious people don't like humor
At all.
well, especially about religious topics.
Yeah. Cotton Mather.
Yeah.
Talking about Puritans.
See if anybody else has a comment.
Anybody else have anything else to say about Easter funnies?
Ask Lindsay if
Oh,
she has a
Lindsay.
topic now.
Lindsay, you got a topic. Yeah, see, that's out of sight, out of mind. Oh, Sally. Sorry, Sally.
That's okay. I'd like to expose these two local scammers currently active. John Weeks, he also goes by John P. Weeks, phone number 716-803-7984. The other guy, yes. No phone numbers?
John,
Yeah, you can give phone numbers.
John P. Weixner?
It's spelled John, like just regular John. Sometimes he uses, if you want to like see the criminal record that's Googleable, he was arrested for insurance fraud in 2020. And he's been scamming seniors in mostly the South towns, but they hit like Fredonia to Tonawanda. He's lived in. He grew up in Point Breeze, Angola, New York. If you Google John Weeks, John P. Weeks, because I guess there's some very famous person named John Weeks. I don't know I forgot what they're about, but a billion things that just plain John Weeks comes up. But so if you want to see the criminal stuff, you got to say John P. Weeks. But he has aliases. He signs receipts, John Wells. He is currently collecting a monthly payment from a woman in her 60s that works a job that isn't easy, that pays $20 an hour. The woman's asking her family for help to make these payments. She thinks a big return's coming later. It's wild that this guy's not in prison, but yeah, he's out there scamming. There's a lot of, if you want to see text between somebody that, like, his greed literally killed somebody I know. This isn't like cut and run, get the money, like see you later type stuff. Like this guy, he basically preys on It doesn't matter if they're disabled. Senior women with his sad tales of woe of his dead kid and his dead brother, and he emojis them up with all those little smiley faces, tells them they're cute, whatever, to get his emotionally slutty claws in their brains, and then boom, get those huge payments. That's his bread and butter, senior women. But I'm in touch with other people. The scams, any way he can get money out of you, it's not all that. There's just all kinds of stories of how this guy gets money out of people. He's 54 years old. The only pictures of him are online are about 14 years old. So they don't represent, like, what he looks like now is more gaunt and haggard than the pictures that you can see. He's got very distinct shaved eyebrows. Like he dresses like a real heteronormative, guy doing construction, but those eyebrows are like, what are you up to later, buddy? Not to judge. I love queer people. I prefer queer people, actually. So I'm just saying that stuff so he's identifiable, not passing judgment or anything. He's known to sit at the Irving Casino and blow that stolen money. And he had a dog named Zeus, but he left it with the last woman he was scamming in Silver Creek. What else? Okay, so that's mostly his stuff. The other guys, there's another guy, the town of Evans. These people, this is where these people hit a lot, a lot of money out here. And the other guy, this is just, I want to add him in because it's like new on the town of Evans Facebook. His name is Mike. I can't pronounce it, but GAJKOWSKI. His phone number is 779-329-0685.
Gajowski?
Yeah, that sounds about right. But by looking at spelling, yeah. And he's taken people for lots of money, and he's got his sad stories too. I didn't do as much reading on him, so I just wanted to add him in with John Weeks so that, I don't know, just spreading awareness. This is hiring season. This is the time when people that have money want to spruce up their place. So I just really thank you for letting me get this information out. I hope it prevents people from losing their money, because your financial security, it's all connected, affects your mental health and your physicality, and it can literally push people into the grave. So thank you for letting me share.
Okay. Well, we thank you for sharing, Sally.
It's a public service.
Yeah, because at the same time, all the scammers which I've encountered all use completely phony names. Like the most recent one, no, not even the most recent one. The last one whose name I got, she gave me the name of a famous Polish poet who's alive right now but is in Poland. That's not her name. So, but at the same time, 20 years ago in South Carolina, I had a guy who used the story that's very specific. He was changing a tire and he threw a tire and that put his shoulder out. So it was painful. And he had a name like Mark Smith Jones. And then about 8 months later at a different hospital, because we covered 4, he sees me again and it's like Jones Smith Mark. And the same complaint, my shoulder. Well, the first time it was at an outside hospital. This time was at the University Hospital, where we had Greenville County Sheriffs and Greenville City Police there. And so I told the police, this guy's trying to scam me. And they ran him, but there was nothing. He didn't have any outstanding warrants. But I said, the chances of we had 60 docs in our group. And so chances are less than 1% that he would get me again. And he didn't even remember me. So I don't know how many times he's done this scam. But scammers are going to scam, and they're good at it because they do it all the time.
Right. When I knew that you guys were going to let me on, I went to this guy went to Lakeshore High School, and you can go on Facebook and Lakeshore High School reunion. And I made my little meme and I put seeking information on John Weeks, because, I know scammers going to scam, but what I'm really interested in is what caused that sociopathy, what makes a guy be able to look into somebody's eyes for like, I mean, months. This guy he'll put months into it. It is like a job for him. It's disgusting, but like what gives somebody that quality, you know, because he was like that before his kid dying. Like, yeah, that's a great entrance strategy to get into the minds of elicit pity from anybody, really. But
did he really have a kid that died?
Yeah, he really did have a kid that died in 2024. But see, he was scamming and his brother died in 25. His kid died in 24. But he was doing all these behaviors like long before any of that happened. And there's, you know, ever since I started whistleblowing on the internet, it's just like the stories keep coming in. Like, it's like he did this to like people he grew up with. Like, it doesn't matter if he's got a relationship with the person or not. Like, he's going to take your money somehow. And also, but what blows my mind is like, and stay in the town and share the same grocery store with these people. And just like, I'm so surprised, like, nobody has, you know, made their own justice, if you know what I'm saying, you know?
Well, yeah, because the thing is, you're absolutely right about the scammers, because prison guards will tell you most of the guys are there because they're too dumb to get out of it. But there's a couple of guys that are smart and they just got caught. And like, if you're selling drugs, that's just the price of doing business, is you go to jail. And if you remember the movie New Jack City from 1990 with Wesley Snipes, there's a guy who's a banker working in the bank, and he makes more money working for the drug dealers. And in the book, what's the one? Stephen Dubner and Outliers. A guy there was a fellow from UTSA, I think, who was doing his doctoral thesis, and he went to Chicago, and it was the accountant for a drug group, and the accountant gave the doctoral student his notebook so he could make a copy of it. He said, "I'll probably be dead by the time before you're done," and that actually happened. But they were really doing efficient bookmaking, you know, efficient books, and really efficient, and they were getting the most money they could. And if these guys just went straight, because like I did an intern year at Elmhurst, New York City. We were the closest hospital to Rikers Island, and the CO said some of these guys are really sharp, you know, and that's the thing. All they got to do is go straight, and they would make money. But they picked this route, and you're absolutely right, Sally. That's what it is. That's like their job. Just like people's job is to make phony paintings. You know, they actually have painting skill. You know, and they're doing these art. If I had a copy of Monet, guess what? I get one of those things like that Jesus that woman ruined.
Yeah, I think I read something once about like it's more psychologically taxing to like perform work and pretend to be busy at a job than it is to actually do a job. And I worked security for 10 years, so I can testify to that. Like, even though I enjoyed it, it's like, oh God, now I have to pretend I'm observing and reporting and nothing is happening. I have to pretend to be concerned that I'm actually some line of defense against absolutely anything.
Well, I'm in the same kin with you, Sally, because years and years and years of emergency medicine was runny noses and people with factitious illness and that are unable to adult. And that didn't tax my skill or my brain. That was just rote, boring, burning me down like the candle that's left to burn until it's gone. So I get you. I read you. Nothing is happening. So how can you make it look like it is?
Yeah, it's pretty degrading trying to make it look like it is. Like almost every food service job I ever have is like, oh, you got time to clean, you got time to clean. It's like, what? Yeah, we have hours to do that, and then when people come in, then there's actually something really to do. But then till then, you have to like pretend you're like I don't know, scrubbing the same.
Lean on a broom. Lean on a broom.
Yeah, that stuff.
Okay. We like to keep the ball rolling, Sally. Are you okay with that?
Roll it away.
Okay. Robbie, baseball.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's starting too soon. I mean, have you noticed like how many postponements there is when you're a Northeastern team? It's like you want to start in March, but yet it still snows in March, and it's like I think they gotta like figure out about shortening the season because I don't watch 162 games a year. It's like if we want to start in May and enjoy the weather in May and then end in September, then I'm fine with it.
Well, but this is global warming, buddy. This is global warming. Because remember when we were kids, when like October would get cold and November would be snow? Now it doesn't snow until the end of November or December, and it goes into May or March instead of ending in February, or the worst in January and then February, and then starts to warm up. We frame shifted. So that's why the season that it's been 154, then to 162 for the past 100 years.
Yeah, like the Bisons. I mean, the home opener was 34 degrees. I go, how could anybody sit outside during the Bisons home opener? I mean, I don't know how. I mean, you're next to Lake Erie, 34 degrees. You got to have a 20-degree wind chill.
Yeah, and I mean, that's just what happens. And we have a gay basher that's putting comments in, so that is unwanted, and that is that Vanessa is on Grindr, but I'm not. So you can look for her and have a good old time. Okay. So next we come to curable and not curable mental illnesses. Richard is black and white. He thinks they all lump together and they're all curable. He did.
You should have state your position and not state mine.
True that. Okay. Does anybody else have anything else to say about the baseball season?
No.
Okay.
So continue that, but
okay. My take.
But don't lead off by saying what I think. Lead off by saying what you think.
Well, I'm thinking about what you told me, but what I said was personality disorders are like the grain in the wood. I didn't say mental illness. I said personality disorders. You got to be specific. Personality disorders are like the grain in the wood. That is built into you. That's what you have.
I do have something before when you guys debate.
And that it's like the schizophrenics, that once you have schizophrenia, you don't get out of it. And we were taught in med school, and any psychiatrist would tell you, if you're not psychotic by age 30, you're not going to be. Now, there can be other specific reasons, but not organically. Like postpartum depression, 1% of the women that have postpartum depression will have it lifetime. But not 1% of women will have postpartum depression. No, of the women that have postpartum depression, which is about 3%, 1% of those, or 1 out of 300, will have it lifetime. That's the exception there. But that's what happens with schizophrenics. They get the shot of Haldol Deck, and they say, oh, I'm better, and they stop taking their meds, and then they spiral down again. And it's a series like of sawtooths where they get better, and they say, I don't need to take it. Well, you know what happens if my blood sugar is good and I don't take my insulin? I'm not cured. And likewise, that's one of the things. Oh, also, just as a sidelight, electroshock is actually effective. But people they believe the image of electroshock is smelling ozone and like Jacob's ladders and, no. Anesthesia sedates them, and there's a thing that gets their head, and they just hit a button, it goes, and that's it. There's no there. It's not like, Frankenstein and, scorch marks and fire. No, that's not all that thing. But the one thing that there's retrograde amnesia. So if I got electroshock today, I'd forget yesterday. But then it would get better. But it's like
in medical school about like ayahuasca ceremonies or cacao ceremonies, and does that come up in when you're talking about neural pathways and mental illness and stuff like that?
No, that because when I was in med school 25 years ago, we didn't talk about that because it was so uncontrolled. We did 15 minutes on the history of using cocaine and heroin for medicines, but we spent more time talking about Thorazine and then to Parnate and Nardil, which can precipitate the serotonin syndrome. So you spend a lot of time on the stuff you'll never see, and the things you see every day you barely touch because you'll see it every day. But the little stuff, but no, that we didn't even. I never even heard of ayahuasca until about 15 years ago.
Cool.
What have you heard? What have you heard, Sally, about ayahuasca?
Well, I did a ceremony that was it wasn't ayahuasca. It was something I can't pronounce it's supposed to be like a sibling to ayahuasca. Mm-hmm. And as far as when you're trying to diagnose somebody with mental illnesses and stuff, the sister to whatever that unpronounceable word is. And then I also did a cacao ceremony. Now, during those ceremonies, it was probably the most open-hearted as a person. And just that's the only way I could put it is like a love of life and a love of humanity that I don't think I've experienced without, but I think the look of it probably would seem mentally ill to people that don't, have experience with that stuff or understand that stuff. And then it's weird to think about like, well, why does that, why would somebody even judge that as illness or weird? Because the feelings they're so good, but you're really just like sitting there staring at, you're not, I guess like I don't know, illness is basically just whatever doesn't make somebody money. Because I read stuff too about how borderline is actually a really sane reaction to being raised by a narcissist. So I don't know, some mental illnesses, it's just like it's just language to describe pattern behaviors, and they're not lifelong things. Like you get somebody away from a narcissist, put them in like a supportive environment, and all of a sudden they're not acting like a borderline.
Well, I have to disagree with that.
Okay.
Because I have firsthand experience of that. I never put it together. A guy I used to know, he would always have drama. He would inject drama, and I never put it together. But he finally had too much drama, and it pushed me away. And that's why he doesn't have any friends now. All of his friends are disposable because his mother, I don't know what her condition is, but she lives in a nursing home now because she broke her hip, and they can't do surgery on it. So she's in a wheelchair for the rest of her life. And his father's a raging alcoholic, and that's why. That I took everything at face value, and that's why all of his drama, which was all bullshit, he always, let's see, what's an example? He went to China to teach pop culture in Shanghai, and he had an MP3 player, it was like an iPod, that had all his music, and he lost it. The thing he needed to teach, and he said he lost it. He didn't have a backup, so I'm struggling all around, and he said that another professor he knew, her brother was going to find it. And so I'm digging and scrabbling. I'm in Hawaii at the time. I'm looking everywhere for these things like Big Boy and Dorothy, what's from the 20s, music from the 20s. And I still have the email somewhere that said, the boy came through after a week. The brother found a backup and could send it to him. That was unnecessary drama. Or,
yeah.
Oh, there's many more. Like,
let her talk.
Yes, Sally, go ahead.
Well, just chaos addiction, that's like supposed to be part of borderline. And it's like weird with that because like sometimes real life stuff does happen. The borderline is, maybe he legit lost his phone, but maybe he also didn't prepare so that he wouldn't lose his phone. And it's like a gambling kind of behavior, like not sufficiently preparing for something so that you could be in that chaos, so he could get that head of chaos. I don't know. I'm just guessing.
Well, I bought him Rosetta Stone Chinese so he could learn it. He said, "Oh, it crashed my computer." No, he never loaded it.
So on the subject of curable and not curable mental conditions, I'd like to say something on that. How much of the medical profession, now I think I know Jason's answer on this, but Sally and Rob, how much of the medical profession would you say is interested in perpetuating the illness so they can keep making money, and how much of it is interested in curing the illness?
I could say something because I had a sister in the psychiatric center, and every time I visited her, there was like one day she'd be fine, but the next day she'd be lethargic, and that a lot of it is because of the medication that they put her on. And that. Now, I could also say I was on a medication because of my high anxiety when I was going to Arise, and I'm very, like, my nerves get so, twitchy, and I'm taking now medicine to help my nerves too because of my anxiety and that, to keep my blood pressure. But it's a lot, some of it is to do with the medication, the doctors wanting to make their money and that, because like I said, I've seen it firsthand with my sister. Yeah,
the would say the example of what you're talking about is that drug companies send representatives to doctors, and they actually do this. They say to the doctors, the more you prescribe of this drug, the more a bonus we will send you every month.
Can I comment?
Sure.
I think that that's now illegal because, like, if you go to ASAP, American College of Emergency Physicians, they can't give you anything. They can't give you pens. They can't, or the drug manufacturers can't give you stuffed little squeeze balls. They can't give you pens. Other ones can, like hospital systems. But that's the whole point, because I got to tell you, that's a rather cynical way of looking at it. And if that really happens, they got to watch out, because that's called collusion. And that's also, that could be antitrust if it's a group of doctors, not an individual doctor. But there's enough work to go around without doing that. And enough people die while you're trying to help them. Why would I perpetuate them being sick? That's the thing. There's more than enough work to go around for, like, cardiology or psychiatry. I mean, there's more than enough work to go around. So there's no need to try to gauge that, because people don't comply anyhow. We went through that about compliance, that they don't comply anyhow, even when you prescribe the whole thing, or the getting suckered for, ask your doctor if this is right for your cancer. Well, just like there's 50 states, there's about 300 different kinds of cancer. So one drug for your cancer, it probably won't work. But the majority of cured cancers are skin cancers, basal and squamous cell carcinomas. And the ones that still kill you are the colon and the lung, and the ovarians.
Okay, so go ahead, Sally.
I got a CNA. It's expired. I didn't bother renewing it. And my intentions going in with that was, it was halfsies. It was like, I would like to be part of, I would like a job that pays me money, but also I do enjoy helping people and, have home care experience and wiped a lot of butt in my day and all that. But the thing is, the medical field itself, like, absolutely hoodwinks you. And then so it can take a well-intentioned person and absolutely destroy them. Like, I got a job at a retirement home. I was told that I would be responsible for 8 people a night. And they didn't, like, fib by a little bit. When I actually got in the job, I was actually responsible for 35 people a night. So I was told 8. The reality was 35. I cried my first night, was like, oh my God, what the hell? I can't even do this. Like, not this much. So I think really it's there could be good people, but if you get in there, it's gonna hurt you, and you're gonna be, and I was, like, literally told to ignore a woman that was asking for attention. And then, like, when I was changing people, and I'd have their bottom changed and stuff, but there was still, like, urine on the bed. So I go to change the bed sheet. No time. You just have to get. I was told to ignore that. Leave that piss right there on the sheet and go to the next person, because it's a turnover. It's like you're in a factory, and it's absolutely it makes you feel like a terrible person. Even being there, even attempting to the job makes you feel terrible. And I think I've seen on the news this week about how didn't they have something on the news this week about, like, the shortage of the staff shortage is dangerous for the worker. It's dangerous to get into the medical field.
Well,
of any way.
That's nursing home operators are of the churn mode. Churning started with stockbrokers, where it's buying and selling, because you get the commissions. And so likewise, nursing homes are about the churn, just getting more butts in the seats. And so the operators are making literal millions. Those are the ones that get busted in New York City or around here, like Diamond North or Emerald North or whatever up in North Buffalo. That's not the doctors benefiting from that, because a doctor that's rich, if you prove that he's not a neurosurgeon or an orthopedic surgeon or cardiologist, then he's doing something illegal.
I fact checked the claim that it is illegal for a drug company to give doctors money. And here's what I found out. It is indeed a criminal law if a doctor accepts money for prescribing drugs. This is what drug companies do. They say to doctors, we're going to give you these drugs, And if you find a patient that you think needs them, go ahead and prescribe them. And if you have maybe 3 or 4 patients, do it that way. And the reason we're asking you to do this is because every year we have a convention in the Bahamas. And at this convention, we fly in doctors and say, give us your honest opinion. Does this drug work? And if you do apply for one of these appointments with us to make a presentation, you will not only be flown in for free, but you'll receive a $100,000 fee for your speaking. Now that's technically legal, and they do that all the time.
Gross.
Is that a AI response?
This is from the New York Times.
No, because I tried to ask Bing. This was about SEAL teams because I knew there was one SEAL class that graduated no one and another one that graduated everybody, and it gave me the same answer for the question. For the question, it said the same thing. So I finally figured it out, but it's really garbage in, garbage out. That's why I was wondering.
Well, it's the New York Times is having an interview with legal scholars on the matter. And the legal scholars are from the law firm of Phillips and Cohen.
I was thinking Dewey, Screw 'em, and Howe. But, well,
So yeah, and so I think my friend Mike has a point. He says, he's very skeptical of doctors because he doesn't know how much of what they do is to perpetuate the illness. They only treat the symptoms. They never give you the cause, because that'll mean you're not going to be a patient anymore. But on top of that, regarding your topic that you brought up, I have to quote 2 people. One is Henry Ford, who famously said, whenever you're faced with a problem, there are 2 answers that are both correct. If you say, I can solve the problem, you're correct. If you say, I can't solve the problem, you're also correct. Now, you understand what he's getting at? If you say you can't solve the problem, you're not even going to bother looking. If you say, I can, you're going to keep looking until you find the answer. And that ties into my friend Jim Lazinski, who's a regular viewer of the show. And Jim, I'm going to quote you. He's going to have a hip operation in about 30 days. And he said to me, I am going to get that operation and I'm going to be well enough to go camping this summer. I said, how do you know? And he said, because of my attitude. He said, if you have an attitude that you are going to get better, you're going to get better. The mind plays a very important part in healing the body. So if a certain former physician is going around saying, if you have not mental health problems, but some personality disorder, you'll never get rid of it.
you're calling me a former physician? No, I'm still a doctor.
Someone who's still a doctor but doesn't practice for 10 years.
It hasn't been 10 years.
How long has it been?
2.
Okay.
And I still have my license. I'm still up to date.
Okay.
Don't throw me in with Casey Means, who her bullshit. Her license is inactive. No, that's perjury because it expired, just like my South Carolina and my Hawaii license expired because I didn't renew. It's not inactive. Hers expired. She is unlicensed. No, don't write me off as some kind of crank because you're discounting. You don't do a study of personality disorders, not depression, not fraud, who is outdated, including the dreams. His interpretation of dreams. It's a fantasy.
How about giving me your source of this so-called study?
Woo,
What
can
study?
heat it.
You said conduct a study of
No,
people
just-
who have personality disorder.
No, not
rather
a
than,
study. Research it.
rather
Because
than
you're
force-
talking out of school. You don't know what you're talking about.
Rather than foisting it on me, give me your source for your statement.
You don't believe anything I say. I'm not an expert in your eyes, even though I am. But I am, and that's why you refuse to. You want something written down concisely in one article. It's a body of knowledge.
So you're saying there are these studies that claim that personality disorders can never be cured, but you just don't happen to know what they are.
Not off tip of my tongue, but the thing is, they're difficult to treat because they're a part of your personality.
Okay,
That's all.
Rob and Sally, you have anything to say on this topic that Jason and I vehemently disagree on?
But see, I've researched it.
But it almost feels like It almost feels like there's always a doctor that wants to be the first one to get something correct. I mean, if you remember with the COVID and Dr. Fauci, I mean, you think about like, oh, we have to get, I want to be the first one to get it correct, which it's not always true.
Sally, you got
really-
anything?
I agree with the Ford quote a bit. It sounds about being about belief, like a individual's belief is stronger than any medicine.
Where'd you go?
Still there, Sally?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah, I like the Ford quote. I think belief is stronger than medicine. I've seen people that go on antidepressants or anxiety meds, and then, it's one person the cosmic permission slip to do exactly what they wanted to do and overcome their hurdles, and then another person, just stay exactly the same, goes down in bed and be like, oh God, they just have even more anxiety about taking the med and staying home and secluding themselves and stuff. And I think real medicine is belief, and it's a community that, even if it's a community you don't like, I think being we're social animals, and being social, even if you want to just bigger with somebody, no matter how you're socializing, that's gonna do more than just rotting alone an island unto yourself. Whatever you do with the med or not, I think it's all about beliefs.
Well,
I just like the Ford quote. Yeah.
Well, if you say it can't be done, you don't look further. Things not looked for are rarely found.
So, for example, Lindsey Vonn is an Olympic skier.
Yeah.
She was told by her physician, your days of skiing are over. You'll never ski again. And then a few years later, she said, the meaning in my life has gone away, and I would like to do it again. And she started training and rehabbing. She went back to the same physician, and he said, I've never seen anything like it. I can give you clearance. You can go back to the Olympics. Mm-hmm. Lindsey believed in herself, Lindsey Vonn, and look what happened.
But Norman Vincent Peale, The Power of Positive Thinking.
Exactly.
But that's in conjunction, not in place of. That they have to go together. Not thought isn't stronger than medicine. I can give you 100 milligrams of metoprolol right now, and your heart rate will drop to 30. You would have to take years of study as a yogi or as a mystic to make yourself biorhythmically drop your heart rate that low. That I think that overstates it, because otherwise it would be like 100 years ago. If you had cancer, you died. Period.
So what about someone with a personality disorder who is convinced that they can overcome it?
It's going to take a lot of work, and because it's so painful, most people don't do it. And also because
so it's not impossible.
It's highly unlikely.
Okay.
That's the thing, because they don't want to face the very sad truth of how they are, and they think they're normal. They think they're normal. Even they think that they're abrasive personality. Aileen Wuornos, who killed 8 guys, and she said every single one of them tried to rape her. She had the antisocial personality disorder, because 5 out of 6 borderlines are women, but 5 out of 6 antisocials are men. So that's the thing. And the borderline is the borderline between neurosis and psychosis. And yeah, being the child of a narcissist, yeah, that makes sense. But that's your normal, and you don't want to admit that you're your deep set problem, because that's the grainier wood. That's what you're made of. That's what you've built your whole ego on.
I don't have anything else to say on this. Do you, Rob, and do you, Sally?
No, thanks. Keep it rolling.
Okay. Okay, paycheck to paycheck.
It was revealed this week, I saw this in the New York Times, 60% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck, while according to this new Oxfam report, they study financial matters across the globe, in big surveys. The world's wealthiest individuals stacked $3.5 trillion in tax-free offshore accounts in 2024. So we got to take action against this problem. You have a problem, you have to have action to accompany it. Number 1, raise the minimum wage. Number 2, pass a law guaranteeing the right to join a union. Because right now, there's this strange law on the books that if your plant unionizes and they persuade the owner of the plant, you have to raise our wages, the law says it must be raised for everybody, not just the union employees. So what happens is these instigators go in and they say to the workers, hey, what do you want to pay your union dues for? If they win, you're all set. You're still going to get the thing even though you're not paying the dues. So a law should be passed that if a union negotiates a higher rate, it's only for the union members. Watch how fast the unions grow once that law gets passed.
Well, my mother was a member of the CWA when she worked for New York Tel and Associates. And even if you didn't join the union, you still had to pay the union dues because you're getting the benefit of what the union argues.
That's a great law. I wish that were a federal law.
But that's the thing, that that's the 10th Amendment. You know, each state does their own thing. Because, like, unions are very rare in South Carolina. I remember seeing one for IBEW, I think it was. They had a union hall right next to the A&W restaurant. I can't remember any others. And those are the right-to-work states where you try to unionize, they just fire you because some other schmuck is going to come in and work your penny-ante job. You want to make it better, but this guy says, all about me. Do you have an opinion on that, Robbie?
Yeah, I think there's one thing about union, and there's one thing about like the minimum wage that I heard. If you raise the minimum wage, prices are going to go up no matter what the wages are going to be. Now, I was working in a factory that had a union, but they dismantled because they were paying little money to compare to what. Okay, we want to make a little bit more money. We want to raise. And so they disbanded the union because there was like some unfair things going on. So there is a benefit with the union, and there's some type of there's not a benefit of a union.
Well, I took I was economics before I switched to biology in school. And my first semester, Econ 101, you can tell if the professor is a conservative or a libertarian because they say that the minimum wage is an artificial point. It's the Laffer curve, up and down. The Laffer curve is how much is paid in taxes versus, so like 100% taxes, then nobody has any money. 0% taxes, everybody has money, but either one is bad. Mm-hmm. And so it's finding the inflection point, where's the right amount. And they say that the conservatives and the libertarians say, let the market guide itself because getting an extra dollar in your check per hour this week because you abandoned the union. Well, do you know what unions got you? A 5-day work week, an 8-hour day, workers' comp, no child labor.
Social Security.
Well, not as clearly. You know, I know what you mean, but I'm talking for the worker, not the retiree. But you're absolutely right. And that's the thing, that unions suck until you need them.
Or then when you argue if you're losing your job, but on an unfair thing, that's where a union's good at too.
Well, you know what you do if you're an owner? You pay people more up front so they don't have to unionize. Treat them like humans instead of like being. Everybody exerts a little bit of power they have. Every little bit of power they have, like screaming at the kid through the Tim Hortons speaker, or screaming at the waitress. Well, the petty manager at Amazon gets to lord it over his his employees. Well, you got to nip that in the bud because when you pay people better, you get better results, but also have a described rubric. Are you still here, Sally?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, yeah, because I can't see you. That a described rubric that you have to meet, but you don't make it impossible because one of the secrets of a performance improvement plan, a PIP, is you make the goals seem attainable, but they're really not. That's how you screw people and screw them out of a job. You make a PIP, but they can't finish it. They can't do it. That's a little trick from the HR side. But let's see. We're getting close to the end, so we got to. Anybody?
Yeah, ask Sally if she has any.
Yeah, you have anything else, Sally, on that?
Before we move on.
On paycheck to paycheck?
The unions reminded me of I got hired as a seasonal worker at UPS, and it wasn't an option. You had to join the union. Okay, fine. Well, I gave it was 2-hour training, watched videos. They took all my information, signed the little form for the union. And they told us we overhired. So we'll be in touch, but everybody will be hired. And I never heard from them and I never got paid for that 2 hours. Just a little fun fact about UPS.
So actually that cost them some money to have you there though, to show the videos.
Yeah, but I wish it would have been all good if they would have just paid me for that 2 hours. But I mean, nothing. And they had and I felt because there was like a whole crew, a big group that they took, and there was one guy there that like made a big stink before we started that 2 hours worth of videos and paperwork and stuff. And he was like, just like made them reassure him like that we're actually being hired, like for like, and that of course we were all assured, and nothing.
38 years ago, there was two guys, both named Kevin, who were in my grade at school, and they summered at UPS. And the little bit of power, what the guys in the on the other side of the conveyor belt to load the trucks, the best thing is to put the big things out first and put the little stuff in. They'd send the little stuff out, so you load your truck, and then they send the big things out. Now it's like a jigsaw puzzle, and they thought that was funny, struggling to load the truck. Little bit of power, they exert it wherever they can. Okay, anybody got anything else on that?
No.
Okay, Robbie, are farmers markets cheaper?
Yeah, that's sort of the question I wanted to ask, because you got prices going up in the grocery store because of obviously the war and gas prices. But then you have like your farmers market that are local farmers.
Well, I can speak firsthand to that.
Yeah, and Jason's a regular at farmers markets.
Yeah, so that beer is more expensive, vegetables are better, but at the same time, I don't know if they collude before the market starts because the prices are always the same. If it's $7 for a quart of strawberries here, it'll be $7 here.
How about compared to what, like Tops and Wegmans?
They're a little bit better, but Wegmans gets
You
close.
say better? You mean
Lower,
cheaper?
lower, yeah.
Lower. Okay.
Yeah, and also higher quality, but Wegmans approaches that. Now on the flip side, Wegmans wants the three peppers, the tricolor peppers, all the same size. When they're different sizes, they can go out cheaper. So Braemiller's out in Hamburg, they get those, and they can pass the savings on to the people. But also, you can find stuff at the farmer's market that's one-off that other places don't have, like elderberries or what's the various types of honeys, like Manuka honey. But actually, you can't have Manuka because that's from the Oregon coast. It has to be within 50 or 75 miles.
How about you, Sally? Do you go to farmers markets?
Oh gosh, I'm no. I used to when I lived out of state. I was I was all healthy and all about the farmers markets. But I just ate from Pat's Pizza. I eat out a lot.
Hey, grub is grub.
I can't say what's in the markets.
Anybody have anything else to add to that? We're going to try to struggle two of these. Anybody else have anything else on the farmers markets?
No.
Okay. Kidney stone prevention. Do you have a specific idea in mind, Richard?
I have a life experience.
Really?
Yeah. Our friend Paul Dragem, he had a kidney infection, and then they solved the infection, and then they said, come on back in a number of weeks and we'll remove the kidney stone. So I said to him, Paul, kidney stone gone? And he said, yes, it's gone. And I said, great. Did they tell you how to prevent another one from happening again? And let's see if this works. He said the uric acid stones, and they can give me medication to dissolve them and keep them under control. And I said, you're not going to change your all meat, eat a pound of bacon a day diet? And he wrote back, nope.
That's one of the, we got a minute and a half. That's one of the curses of kidney stone, because whatever you love, if it's chocolate, if it's ice cream, if it's milk, if it's meat, when you get a kidney stone from it, that means you can't have it anymore, or you do, you risk having it happen again. And it's all fun until it isn't. See, he didn't have an infection, then they found a kidney stone. No, he had a stone that got infected in that order. And the pain is bad enough, but how about you obstruct it and you kill your kidney? Then it ain't screwing around. And it's like the guy who fires bottle rockets out of his hand. It's all great until he blows his hand off. And that's why, if you keep doing what you're doing, you're always going to get it. If every time you have sex, you get chlamydia, well, maybe you should have sex with those people.
So I asked myself, what did I learn from this experience with Paul? And here's what I came up with. Part of what keeps us sane is other people's perspectives, which are often in tension with ours.
Right. Well, speak that I may know thee versus be silent and thoughtful, then to open one's mouth and remove all doubt. You know, that's the thing. By dissension and tension, we make differences. I don't even have a joke. I don't even have a joke for now. But if you like the show, or if you didn't, if you think I suck, don't tell me I suck. Tell me why I suck. Contact us on our socials, or you can text me if you got my number. Thanks to Sally, and thanks to Robbie. Enjoy the Sabres game tonight. Have a great weekend.